So, a fresh new week has arrived, and here on this channel, that means one thing and one thing only. Every weekend, I post an episode of this series we do called Your Take Not Mine, where I turn to you, the viewers, to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video. This week, more preseason games have been happening, giving us our first taste of real NBA basketball back, and there have also been more rumors on the trade front coming out, so we definitely have plenty to discuss. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on either the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now, so if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Christian, and he says that Victor Wembanyama is going to make an All-NBA team as a rookie. The Victor Wembanyama hype train was soaring at the time of the draft. It cooled off a little bit during the NBA Summer League when he had a good, yet inconsistent showing, but now during the preseason, it is being fully ramped back up now that he's dominating on an NBA court. The source of all the hype surrounding him as a prospect has obviously been the fact that he is a 7-foot 4-inch tall guy with an 8-foot long wingspan who moves like a wing out on the floor with the ball in his hands, and can both capably shoot jumpers from deep and create his own offense off the dribble. The term unicorn gets thrown around way too often nowadays, but that's a label that definitely accurately portrays what Wembanyama's skill set projects to be moving forward. Then a few nights ago, in a preseason game against the Miami Heat, Wembanyama seemed to unleash his powers on them, putting the league on notice, lighting the internet on fire. He finished the game with 23 points and 3 blocks in just 23 minutes of action. He was dunking on guys from outside the restricted area, and when I say that, I don't just mean that he jumped from there. I mean his body was outside of the restricted area while he was throwing it down. That's how long his arms are. He knocked down a 3 in that game, he was taking it to the basket, and defensively he was everywhere. I personally am a huge believer in his talent and potential, but making the All-NBA team as a rookie may be too out of reach. For one, the game against the Heat was admittedly against the Heat's bench players, so he wasn't even competing against the best that the NBA has to offer yet. And there hasn't been a rookie that has made the All-NBA team since Tim Duncan in 1998, so it's been 25 years. He's going to have some unbelievable performances this season, reminiscent to what we just saw him do against the Heat. I have no doubt about that, but I also believe there will be some rookie inconsistencies that come with every teenager making the leap to the NBA world, so I don't think he's going to be one of the 15 best players in the league right off the bat, which is typically what makes up the All-NBA teams. The next take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Danny, and he says that with the way Ben Simmons has been playing in the preseason, along with the team around him being better than it's ever been, he's about to prove everyone wrong and finally take the superstar leap that everyone has been waiting for from him. I would say that I feel bad for the people making these kind of takes still in 2023, but at this point, after all of this time, I have no sympathy for people who still make claims like this every single season with nothing ever changing. As the Albert Einstein quote goes, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, and if you're still calling Ben Simmons the next Magic Johnson, or a guy who still has MVP potential that can carry a team, I'm sorry, but the time for those hopes to be given up on was years ago. The last few seasons for Ben Simmons have been nothing short of a disaster. He forced his way out of Philadelphia under the expectations of being able to play more freely and to his strengths on his new team. He came to Brooklyn and struggled with injuries a bit. When he finally did get healthy, his new coach Jacques Vaughn became frustrated with the same limitations in his game that sparked frustration in Philadelphia, and Ben's individual production fell off a cliff. I'm not saying Ben can't get back to being a productive player who impacts both the offense and the defense at a high level, but there are levels to that statement, and I genuinely do not see him ever getting back to being an all-star again, let alone taking a leap to being in the MVP race. Ben's had nagging back issues for a couple years now, so that will always be hanging over his head. He still absolutely refuses to shoot the basketball anywhere outside of the painted area, and on the rare handful of times he does do it, it doesn't scare the defense, and I do think he still has the ability to be one of the better defenders in the league when he's healthy, so I will admit getting his name back in the all-defensive team race is a much more realistic goal for him. He's a great passer who finds his shooters well, but in the playoffs, his unwillingness to threaten defenses on the perimeter make it much easier to game plan around, so the same issues that have always plagued him are still present to this day, even with a change of scenery. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Zani, and he says that Bam Adebayo is the most underrated defender in the entire NBA. I'm not sure if the person who submitted this take is a Heat fan, or if he saw the same thing that I did this week, but there's definitely a specific reason why I selected this take to talk about in today's video. This is something I have agreed with for years now, and every season somehow it continues to be the case with Bam's absolutely top-tier work on defense, going unnoticed and underappreciated. Every year before the new season starts, the NBA releases the results of a poll taken by the general managers of every NBA team, where they are asked basic questions about how they view the players and who they think the best ones are in varying categories. One of the questions was who they believe the best defender in the NBA is, and there were a ton of different answers submitted, with Giannis Antetokounmpo leading the way, and then other players receiving votes included Jrue Holiday, Draymond Green, Marcus Smart, Jaren Jackson Jr., Kawhi Leonard, Alex Caruso, Anthony Davis, Lou Dort, and Rudy Gobert. Now, in case you missed it, Bam Adebayo's name was not mentioned while some very questionable inclusions were named. This is a poll voted on by the guys who run NBA teams. Bam has been at the heart of a lot of the success that the Miami Heat have had over the last 4 seasons, anchoring their defense and keeping them in games when the offense has consistently come and gone. He's a big man who capably switches out and can defend perimeter players better than any other big man can, and he does it while also being an elite rim protector. Unlike a lot of those other names on the list, Bam locks up when the lights are brightest as well, and his defensive work is a big reason why the Heat have made 3 of the last 4 conference finals and 2 of the last 4 NBA finals. The fact that guys like Alex Caruso and Lou Dort come to mind for some before him definitely proves how underrated he is, and he's also much better defensively in the year 2023 than some of the guys who are still living off of their reputations from a few years ago, like Kawhi Leonard, Rudy Gobert, and Anthony Davis. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes discussed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.